infrastructure, then you change people's lives. But if you just go and run with your IDP, not linking it to the national priorities, you'll miss the boat.
Nelson, how do you think we're going to bring in that level of planning and even integration between the different spheres of government, given where we are now? As the year sort of begins, low-hanging fruit in your view, maybe just two things that could be done differently that you think would have a significant impact.
For one, my sister Cathy, let's look at our country. A lot of people got farms through CRDP. When people got farms so that they can beneficiate or utilize the land with the CRDP program. I did it for Mpumalanga government. It was very effective, but I see it dropped again. And how do you do it? You look at this farm. Where is it located? Most of them, they are into the space of maize. Now, say someone in Khanyisa, in the northwest, it's in the space of maize farming. That guy will spend a lot of minutes and hours just to prepare the maize for harvesting, with the cost and all those things, and with the labor early in the morning, 5 o'clock and the likes. But you will harvest, you will go and sell that ton of maize for 3,000 rand. Just a ton for 3,000 rand. Now the guy with the manufacturing expertise, how to use an extruder machine, the machine that produces cornflakes and breakfast cereals, which we eat every day, whether it's covered, whether we're under what, we eat breakfast cereal. That guy is sitting in center with the knowledge. Go and buy those maize bag ton from you worth 3,000 rand and beneficiate that thing to breakfast cereals in a ton and get a profit of 48,000 rand. Compare 1 ton now of maize with that guy who used manufacturing as an intervention to beneficiate. Gets 48,000 rand. Who is winning? Is the guy who has the knowledge. Now, why is DTI not the Department of Trade and Industry, not filtering to provinces? Why is it at national? That's why the problem is.
Nelson,
yes, ma'am.
I'm going to have to pause you there, but really, really great input from you this morning. Can hear that you really know what it is you're talking about. It's time for your latest news headlines. I'm back with more of your calls.
Good morning. We start with breaking news. The Basic Education Minister, Siviwe Gwagube, says her department has requested the Hawks to investigate the possibility that the 2024 matric results may have been compromised. There is public outrage to reports that an independent online platform has been selling the results for 100 Rand before Gwagube's official release this evening. A 39-year-old man has been arrested in connection with a shooting incident in Pinar, Mpumalanga, that left 8 people dead. And U.S. authorities say the death toll is expected to rise as investigators comb through the devastated neighborhoods in Los Angeles following wildfires. The number of people now known to have died stands at 24. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
I feel great, I feel nice.
Kasha, what's the go? We're coiling on the highest, the summer level. What's the qua? It's the Nandi sessions with Mr. Shodem. It's the fa of live music. It's the go on SABC Plus. Catch the JR Feel Good sessions at 6 Fridays only on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
Abafana West 10 and the Rockets are both looking for a decent spot in the top half. They are all confident they will walk away from the battlefield with jubilance. This is the Betway Premiership. Catch the great passion and drama of Mzansi's beautiful game. Golden Arrows FC takes on TS Galaxy FC on Saturday, 18 January, live on SABC 1 at 2:30 p.m. and SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Qwa.
Don't wake up to less money or no money in your account. Add an extra layer of security for unusual transactions. Nominate a trusted person on the Standard Bank banking app. If something seems off, they can decline transactions for you, even while you sleep. Get trusted person on your banking app today. Visit our help center on the banking app to learn more. Another lesson to #beat the scam. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Experience award-winning hospitality at Birchwood Hotel's 4-star offering, Silver Birch, located minutes from the airport and shopping facilities, and offering luxurious rooms with ample dining and leisure options, including the on-site Mangwanani Spa, gym, pool, and so much more. You will soon realize why there's simply nothing like Birchwood. From now until 13 January, you can enjoy festive deals at only 1,250 per single room or 1,500 Rand per sharing room, including breakfast. Book now at birchwoodhotel.co.za. T's and C's apply. The SAFM Playwriting Competition is back. After receiving hundreds of entries last year from South African writers of different ages and ethnic groups sharing their stories, now the time is yours. It's your story. You decide. SAFM invites all writers to explore the medium of sound, the theatre of the mind, and to create a 1-hour radio play in English. Get writing now and submit your play before the 3rd of February 2025 for a chance to win one of 3 large cash prizes. For more information, visit safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
Yeah, good morning, Cathy. I'm Takatayo in Ofimwawa, home, Eastern Cape. Cathy, I'm just now going to share my view on the raping of those nurses in Limpopo, where the security guards were tied with rope and the thugs get access and rape the nurses. This thing is not going to be the last to happen in South Africa. It's still going to continue, and the more serious things than that one are going to continue. I'm happy that there is no death of any person, but our government is not serious. Cathy, I don't think we need two-thirds majority to change the constitution that makes these criminals think once before they do crime. Thanks, Takatayo, Cape Town. Happy New Year, Cathy.
Hi, Cathy. My aim is to make sure that I register my Mohlahlana tax shop, as our president said. I'm busy now to put aside a Mohlahlana money every day to register. And I want to make sure that all my plans becoming successful this year.
You didn't leave your name. You didn't tell us who you were. I wish you all the best to our listener who's putting money aside to register her tax shop. And I will say go ahead and do that, because remember, there's still that funding that government had said it was going to be releasing, right? That has been set aside for spaza shops in particular. And I know that this is going to be the year where then a lot of those processes come into play. We had the officials from DTI on the show in December last year who spoke about this funding. So the only way you can access it is if your entity is actually registered. Yes, if you applying doesn't guarantee you access, but certainly at least you can meet the required criteria. So, and all of the best to you, of course, with the business that you're running. Anonymous, you're in Gauteng. Good morning.
Good morning. Cathy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Anonymous.
Good morning and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you so much, and same to you.
I'm a long-time SAFM listener, but it's my first time calling.
All right. So, well, welcome to the show, Anonymous. Great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you, Cathy. Just give me a few minutes to just explain the situation and the reason for my call. Katie, I'm one of the people that can consider themselves lucky. I would say I'm a cancer survivor. So I've been treated at Steve Biko Hospital, academic hospital, from 2016. I'm basically doing follow-ups with the doctors once a year. So what happened is that I normally do my checkup, and the doctor advised me to say, whenever there's an issue, you can call us so we can check what's the problem. So back in 2023, around June, if I'm not mistaken, so the operation that I had, the cancer that I had was of the bone, my mandible. I was operated and they replaced the bone and they put like some sort of a plate to support the new bone. So that plate had screws that you attach to the bone to keep it in place. So one of those screws now, it happened to be infected. So it's creating like an infection inside because it's a foreign body inside. So in 2023, I reported to the doctor. They told me, they say, no, it's just an abscess. Take antibiotics, it should go. It didn't go. Then I went in there after, I think, 2 months. The infection did not clear. Then they referred me to the Oral and Dental Hospital. That's the University of Pretoria Maxillofacial Department. I went there, they did all the scans, and the doctor checked me. Then they said, no, actually it's a screw, because they saw everything. They need to do a surgery. That was in 2023. They said at the moment they don't have any space available. They'll let me know because the operation needs to be done at Steve Biko. And I said, fine. And it happened that at that time, the job I was doing, I was working outside the country for 2 months. Then I'll come back in SA for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And they said,
Anonymous, I'm going to ask you, right, for the benefit of myself and the listeners, if
Okay.
I'm sure it's an extensive story that you have to tell us, but if you can get to the point of where you are today and what
All
the
right.
reason for the call is.
Okay. The reason for the call, I'm looking for guidance on my next step because my surgery has been postponed multiple times since 2023. The main reason initially was there's no space. I was given a date for admission. I went to hospital, and on the same day I was discharged to say there's no space. We need to do children first, which I understand, which is a priority. The whole of 2024, they kept telling me, we're going to call you for the surgery. My problem is the infection is getting worse, and I'm not getting any positive feedback. So is it right for me to just wait or keep on going to see the doctor, or is any other avenue I can take to solve this problem? That's the reason for my call.
And they haven't given you any options, Anonymous?
No other options. The only thing they've said is every time I call, they'll say the doctor will call you. They have your file. I've been there for examination and testing and consultation and assessment for more than 4 or 5 times. And I keep hearing the same thing. We're going to call you. We will call you. We'll call you. Last year, they even said there's an opening for the surgery, the theater. I went in there. They said they will call you because there's an opening. Still, I went home, waited. The whole year is gone again. They called me around December, just November last year, and say, no, the doctors say the theaters are fully booked, so you're going to have to wait for this year now.
Okay.
So it's the same process. It's like yeah.
All right, Anonymous. You've raised the issue. You've put it on the table, and we will take what you're saying. It of course could be a bit more complicated than what you've been able to describe for us on air. But we will also get in touch with the Steve Biko Academic Hospital to find out what the matter that this particular listener is facing might be. It certainly doesn't make sense that somebody would be waiting for an operation for close on 2 to 3 years that keeps getting postponed, right? Where are the doctors that are treating him? What do they have to say about the situation? So it's one of those where I think we'll need a lot more information before we can fully be clear on what exactly has happened with Anonymous. Mokwepa, you're in Gauteng. Good morning. You're on the road to Durban. Yes, Dumela.
Only one thing when I was Katie, I feel sorry for you, ne? Is when you talk about soccer. Man, sorry, I don't know what to say, but unfortunately, we are lucky. And then not
no, we don't recognize that. Sorry, what did you say? What are you talking about? Who is that? What is that?
No. I was like, okay, let me talk about what I wanted to talk about. I'm so many Amakosi supporters now. They will beat me up, so I don't want that. I want to talk about the tourism in South Africa. I've experienced that on December. When I closed at the company where I'm working, lucky enough, firstly I want to say thank you to Cathy Mohlahlana. It's working with you guys there to give me advice and encourage me to do this tourism. I went to with my wife and my granddaughter. I went to Durban and drive all the way from the sea until Cape Town. Now, I was getting what I experienced there and meet some people there. The people from outside, let's talk about the foreigner people, are the most people who are doing the tourism in our country. I'm not against that. It's okay. They are doing good things. But I wonder why our South Africans, they don't talk in their country. And you can. Even now, I can ask you a simple thing that, this Gauteng, many people in South Africa, they never go in Gauteng. So, but we don't tour in our country and see the different places and how beautiful is South Africa. So, I want to tell you, I see so many places and are so beautiful, and it was so nice, especially Cape Town. Cape Town, the previous caller was talking about the driving on N3. In Cape Town, people are respecting the law. That's what I experienced there. Cape Town, people are respecting the law. You see, at the off-ramp, many places here in Joburg or some places there in Evans, when it's the off-ramp and there's a queue, there's a lot of traffic in there. The people will overtake there at the off-ramp. They overtake, drive on the yellow line. The people don't respect the law. So I think, if our people, they can start to respect the law and how to drive, that will keep and save the life of other people. Because there are so many in the road, but we don't respect the law.
Okay.
So all right. I wish the other company also, they can bring the driver trainer to refresh the truck drivers. Some of the truck drivers really on the road, we are not the same.
Okay, Mokwepa, we'll leave it there. You've said a mouthful. Yeah, of course we live in a beautiful country, and some of the statistics in tourism actually, Mokwepa, show and are starting to show, especially post-COVID, that South Africans are traveling in South Africa more than ever before. So we do go to different parts of the country. It's certainly not like it was, where maybe if people are planning a holiday, they're thinking somewhere outside of the country's borders. So South Africans are traveling a lot internally. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm back with more of your calls and your voice notes.
What you're about to hear is not a call from Standard Bank.
Hello, Ma. You just made a payment of 2,000 rand to a store in Guatemala. Yeah, if not, please give me the OTP we've just sent to you, and we'll stop this transaction.
Don't fall for it. Standard Bank will never ask you for your one-time PIN over the phone. If you suspect fraud, hang up immediately. Visit our help center on the banking app to learn more, or call our fraud line on 0800 222 050. Another lesson to #BeatTheScam. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
VfB Stuttgart are strategizing on how to secure a dignified top half position, while RB Leipzig are aware of how crucial victory will be for them to rise higher. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch VfB Stuttgart versus RB Leipzig on Wednesday, 15 January at 9:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
This January, to save money, you could turn off the house lights and use your cell phone's flashlight, or you could switch to OutSurance and save on your car insurance premium. Get a quote, and if OutSurance can't beat your car insurance premium, ask them for 500 Rand and make that 1,500 Rand cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. With OutSurance, you always get something out. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
We continue the conversation on the talking point. It is the open line. First one, at least, as I'm back on air in 2025. I'm still taking your calls. Let me go to Duduza station. Good morning.
Good morning, Mama Cathy, and a compliment of new 2025. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, station. So, on which date do we stop saying compliments of the New Year's, station? Do you know? Or do we say it for the whole of January?
They said for as long as you haven't made it before. Yeah.
So even in July it will apply, hey? Even in July it will apply.
Yeah, if need be. If need be.
All right. What do you want to talk about this morning, station?
Mama Cathy, man, I want to compliment and commend our supporters, you know. Especially Pirates and Chiefs supporters. I wish I could say Sundowns, but even, you know, sometimes Sundowns will let you down. Even if they have been told that they will come and enter free at the stadium, they just fail to come and feel that. I don't know whether it is the marketing department at Sundowns which is poor or what. But nowadays, you know, we used to know that it was Celtic supporters who used to bring back and fill up the Cesar Amabu, the Vodacom Stadium. Now, you see, without them, Chiefs, you see, and then nowadays Pirates, they have upped their game. For the past 2-3 seasons, I think I've been following them. Those guys, they're up to something, and when they're at the stadium, they are singing, they are supporting their team, they are not throwing things. They're the new supporters all together. Chiefs, even though they are not doing well, they still go to the stadium and support their team, you know. That shows love, that shows patriotism. And with this weekend, I was only looking, I was watching, and I saw the Pirates supporters, they managed to take up that Orlando Stadium. And then I was saying to myself, wow, I can't just wait, because each and every derby, Chiefs have been overcrowding Pirates whenever you are at FNB Stadium. This time, on the 5th of Feb, I want to check between Pirates and Chiefs, which supporters will be more at the stadium. And I just want to appeal to the supporters. Please, guys, go and support your teams. But let it not only end there. We've got a crisis since Cape, man. Whenever Bafana is playing, those are the very same players from both or all these 16 PSL teams. But our guys are not showing up. They are not coming. I don't know whether their loyalty only lies on their football club, or it goes as far as the nation, or maybe at the national level. We are lacking the marketing people, someone who will come and sell the games to our supporters and show them that they mean something, you see. Because whoever at Pirates, I used to know that Jessica was the best in South Africa when it comes to marketing. That one it goes without saying. But now there's something that has just turned at Pirates, and I wish something could turn again at Sundowns, because they've just been winning cups and cups, but without supporters showing up. I think someone at Sundowns is sleeping on duty. That person need to wake up.
Okay. Station in Duduza, thank you for that input. And ultimately, the conversation comes back to us, right? Because we are the supporters. And I wonder the reasons that keep people away from games and not really wanting to attend some games, despite the fact that the teams could be doing relatively well. Zikali, you're in Kabeja. Good morning.
Morning, Cathy. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. I wanted to brief a little bit about the Van Rienen's issue. I've been driving that road, I think, from the early 90s. My kids are old and working now. As babies, I used to drive that road with them to their mother's hometown, which is Ladysmith. And it has been good. All along it has been good. But I think the big problem that we have between then and now is because the law was upholded in the time. And those of you who are about my age will tell you, we used to be afraid just to go out without an indicator working or anything working, because the police were out there, the traffic police were out there to uphold and apply the law as it is supposed to be. But that's the thing that we don't have now. There are no consequences. There are no consequences. People across South Africa are doing just as they want because they know there is nothing that is going to happen to them. People are traveling from all over the world to come and murder their girlfriends or wives in South Africa because they know the law is weak. It is very painful, Kathy. I shudder to think about the future of our children because we see it across the board. You go to schools, the way we used to respect teachers and everybody, now the children are assaulting the teachers. You go everywhere, there is no respect. Kathy. I don't know what is happening in our country. We love our country. I loved ANC. I grew up loving ANC. I still love ANC, but I have not been voting for them, and I will not vote for them. I don't think they were prepared enough to rule this country, because since they came in, a lot has gone wrong. I love them and I still love them. I will love them, but when it comes to administration, if I go to the Western Cape now, it doesn't matter. I see the institution, the culture, how the drivers are driving, I fall in. If the law enforcement and everybody, I've seen them in Natal. I've been there. I spent almost more than a week there. I've been driving in the road every 5-10 kilometers. There is a traffic cop waiting for there. Even if they don't stop you, they're keeping a low profile. You see that the law is working. Same applies to the Western Cape. I never see it where I stay in the Eastern Cape. All I see is people writing tickets for parking. I think our country needs to wake up, because if Rwanda is said is the cleanest country in Africa, why can't we follow up? I used to stay in Bloemfontein. When you move from Butabelo to Tabanchu, you do sober up, because you know that the Mangope police there, they don't play. You don't pee on the road. You don't throw rubbish on the road. They were there for you. I think the difference is we don't have a law, and that is we have a lot of them on the paper, but nobody cares enough to apply. And it is painful. It is painful, Kevin.
Zikali, thank you for that contribution, bemoaning, right, what part of the state of affairs in the country. And he's right, we can't deny it. He's right. There's small things that just don't help in terms of how we look as a society. Drive in a township, and what do you find? It doesn't help, It only adds to negative perceptions about our country. Ngonde, you're in Cape Town. Good morning.
Cathy, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
I miss you. But Homoso, I must say, filling your place quite well. Cathy, I've got to agree with the previous caller, from PE to Cape Town, it's about 750 kilometers, thereabout. You know, the traffic cops were so visible in the Western Cape. And there was a BMW that was speeding. In actual fact, that BMW overtook 6 cars, 8 cars or so. The traffic cops were there and they apprehended him. You know, I'm sure they must have given him a sport fine or something. Again, he drove that BMW, you know. The guy simply could not listen. But anyway, my talk is about the ANC renewal. Cathy, I was so happy, you know, with the boxing mismatch between one Sanderlin Swana, an analyst, and an NEC member, you know, that I forgot her name because it was really a boxing mismatch. Reminded me of Roberto Duran, you know, and David Moore. My good grief. That woman was so punched, you know, that the referee had no choice, you know, but to stop the contest. Although she was punched, you know, by Sadler Swana, the ANC did not throw in the towel. It was the referee who decided, I don't want death in the ring.
Ngonde, where were you watching this conversation?
In your sister station.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, all right.
Sadler Swana and that NEC member that I refuse to remember her name because it was such a mismatch, you know, so funny. And second and last, you know, I believe Balula went to Robben Island having hired, you know, a private yacht.
Well, it looks like it was offered to him, but yes, he did go in a yacht.
Cathy, how do you like that arrogance when some members of the ANC top officials are talking about humility? Humility, what about humility? I know that it is now. I know that humble is an adjective. But I mean, in practice, come on. Humility and ANC.
We can only hope that 2025 is not going to be more of the same when it comes to our politics. Certainly hasn't started off in that way, but we live in hope.
Top stories: basic education pro possible matric results breach and LA wildfires death toll expected to rise. Good morning. The Basic Education Minister, Siviwe Gwagube, says her department has requested the Hawks to investigate the possibility that the 2024 matric results may have been compromised. There is public outrage to reports that an independent online platform has been selling the results for 100 Rand before the minister's official release this evening. Many are questioning how the platform gained access to such sensitive information. Gwagube will officially release the national and provincial pass rates this evening. She briefed the media in Randburg, Johannesburg earlier.
There has been a platform that has been selling what they call authentic matric results to learners. They have been preying on innocent learners and siphoning them of money. And so we take this very seriously, and this is why the cyber crimes unit of the Hawks has been enlisted and is all over the matter. We are investigating at DBE whether or not our processes have been subject to a breach, then we will deal with it. If we have been victim of a cyber crime, then we are dealing with it through state security and the Hawks.
Earlier, some political parties, including the DA, called on the Basic Education Department to act swiftly following the reports. DA spokesperson on basic education, Dalmain Christians.
We are aware of the reports regarding the alleged early access to results via an independent online platform. However, at this stage, we await official confirmation from the Department of Basic Education. I think it's very important that we trust that the department will address these concerns swiftly and transparently. It is important that we assure learners and that we urge them to remain calm until the matter is resolved, but that we also emphasize the importance of verifying results through official channels.
Political analyst Asanda Mwashing says the ANC now faces the challenge of keeping voter support after allegations of corruption among its members. The ANC celebrated its 113th anniversary in Khayelitsha on the Cape Flats at the weekend, the first anniversary celebration since the party lost its electoral majority in the May 2024 national and provincial elections. Mwashing says the ANC has changed significantly over the years.
The problem is that once you have a corrupt leadership, then it's very difficult to have a membership that's not corrupt. Once you have a corrupt leadership, it bleeds and it breeds itself into the membership and becomes essentially part of the fabric of a political party. And what we've seen, unfortunately, in South Africa is that the corruption of the ANC, the lack of integrity of the ANC, has now effectively spread across the political system.
A 39-year-old man arrested in connection with a shooting incident in Pinar, Mpumalanga, will appear in court soon. The arrest was made last night after 6 people were gunned down outside a tavern at the weekend. 6 others were wounded and taken to hospitals. 2 of them succumbed to wounds, taking the death toll to 8. The provincial police spokesperson, Chabu Ndubane.
The team has managed to make a breakthrough, and during the suspect arrest, a pistol with about 13 live ammunition was confiscated, and the suspect is expected to appear in court soon, and the investigation by the team continues.
And finally, U.S. authorities say the death toll is expected to rise as investigators comb through the devastated neighborhoods in Los Angeles following wildfires. The number of people now known to have died stands at 24. Progress has been made in stemming the fires, but firefighters are bracing for several days of strong winds that threaten further destruction across the LA County. The BBC's Elena Humphrey reports.
In every direction, it is 360 degrees worth of destruction here. And this is a scene being played out right across LA County, tens of thousands of acres that have been destroyed. And as we've been here in the area, we've been feeling those now notorious Santa Ana winds picking up once again. These really are the enemy of those fire crews. They could whip up the flames once again. That is the concern. And those fire crews, they are stretched to the limit right now.
Recapping the top story, the Basic Education Minister, Siviwe Gwagube, says her department has requested the Hawks to investigate the possibility that the 2024 matric results have been compromised. There is public outrage to reports that an independent online platform has been selling the results for 100 Rand before the minister's official release this evening. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Defending champions Bayer Leverkusen want to stay close to the log leaders, while Borussia Mönchengladbach are navigating a path to the top 4. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch Bayer Leverkusen versus Borussia Mönchengladbach on Saturday, 18 January at 7:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Happy New Year, South Africa! SAFM wishes you a prosperous and joyful 2025. as we step into a new year of possibilities. We're here, leading the conversations that move us. Thank you for being part of the SAFM family. Here's to making 2025 a year to remember. Together, SAFM, leading the conversations that move us in 2025.
Assurance are experts in what they do.
They get to understand what type of business are you doing so that they can insure you properly.
It actually validates why we're with them. If you haven't called Assurance yet, what are you waiting for?
Switch to Business Outsurance today and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. SMS quote to 43328. That's quote to 43328 to switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
You're listening to The Talking Point. It's 10 after 10 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the show this morning. I'm Cathy Mohlahlana with you until midday as always, and looking forward to being in your company in a brand new year. I keep saying that it's my first day back at work, but I know that, it's not the 1st of January. So that context is also important. So coming up in this hour, we're going to be looking at the state of the country, 2025, what lies in store for us? What can we expect? What should we be anticipating? And we'll bring into the conversation panelists that will hopefully help to set their own context for us, and we'll have a political economist and also a political analyst that will weigh in that particular conversation. Before we get to it though, your WhatsApp voice notes from the open line.
Good morning, Katie. Oh my goodness, it is so good to hear your voice. I missed you so much. Happy New Year to you and the fellow listeners. Today I just want to talk about the way in which some of these parents, they're raising their kids. They do not set standards. There's no expectation, especially when it comes to education, because the journey, it starts very, very early. You cannot now, you are worried, you are giving every excuse under the sun. And then the very same kids, especially the graduates, some of them, they cannot handle the standards set up in the workplace, and they hide behind, oh no, it's so much pressure, I don't want to put my kids under pressure. Guess what? Pressure is privilege. That means you're part of something. You've got an opportunity to be a better person and be the best at what you do.
Happy New Year, house Cathy. Nicholas in Cape Town after a long time. I feel for Kaizer Chiefs supporters, man. They are boys, they play like boys, like a man dating a wrong woman, But anyway, it's life. It's life. It will change for them, shame. It will change. Oh, shame. But only time that will tell. Thank you.
Hi, Kathy. Welcome back. Kathy and Kaizer Chiefs fans, please, man, can you guys stop complaining? Can you guys fight for relegation this season, please? That's all. Bye-bye.
Hello, Katie. This morning I woke up thinking if the government has already given the stats of how many people have lost their lives on our roads this holidays, this December holidays, festive holidays, I just wanted to find out if maybe I've missed it. I think the numbers are really up, because it's really bad. It was really bad here in Eastern Cape. So I don't know, maybe on the country, if the government have already given the stats, maybe I've missed it.
Kathy, good morning to you and good morning to your crew there, and Happy New Year.
My sister, I just want to comment on this issue of ANC that say they're going to deal with the corruption. I think this thing it has been said by them for the past years, but I don't see any change. Like in my province in the northwest, those corrupt individuals, once you actually complain about one on that department, they are going to remove him and take him to another department. It is a pure recycling of the corrupt individuals. Department of Agriculture is suffering because of the other MEC who now is a speaker of the legislature of the Northwest. It is very sad, my sister, for the ANC to keep on talking of uprooting, of dealing with corruption, while the leaders, they are the one who are occupying high position in the government. Truly speaking, I just see this as a lip service from ANC. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.
Hi, Cathy. I can't agree with you more about the state of driving. And I think most of it stems from taxi drivers doing exactly what they want, when they want, and if they want. Outside the Hillcrest Hospital, there's a lane to turn right. They just come on your right-hand side, go through the red robot, across it. If the police and Metro Police actually had to police a lot of these areas, they'd make so much money they wouldn't know what to do with it, but then they probably wouldn't get paid. But it is absolutely shocking. There's a road between Hillcrest and Pinetown, and the barriers, there's more barriers broken on a straight road than there are barriers that are up and working, just because people drive like absolute idiots. And I think it all stems from everyone's sort of being an entitlement that I should be able to go as fast as I want, when I want, because I need to get there before someone else needs to get there. Anyway, it is shocking. The driving is shocking at the moment.
Hashtag SFM Talking Point.
Well, looking ahead, the state of the country and what does 2025 hold in store for us, I'm going to welcome to be part of this conversation Ngo Dube, who is a political economist, businessman and social commentator. Ngo, good morning.
Good morning, Cathy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And we're also scheduled to be joined by Dr. Aisha Omar.
Mm-hmm.
Apologies for that, I had something in my throat. We're also scheduled to be joined by Dr. Aisha Omar, who's a political analyst, senior lecturer in political theory in the Department of Political Studies at Wits University. So we start this year, of course, a lot calmer than we did 2024. There are no elections this year. We are continuing what is the government of national unity. And I think there'll be a lot of firsts in terms of a full year cycle that we'll get to experience as South Africans. So we're going to have President Cyril Ramaphosa deliver a State of the Nation address in the next month or so under this government of national unity. And that too is going to be a new first for South Africa. What is the sense that you have around where things are politically? And maybe if we can just start with this government of national unity.
Yeah. Cathy, I think a lot of people were skeptical with the formation of this government of national unity, especially the collaboration between the Democratic Alliance and the African National Congress. But even those skeptics have to admit that the government itself has provided some form of stability in the country, both in politically and economically. We have to give credit way due on those two fronts that the government of national unity has delivered. But what waits now is whether that stability can now be converted into tangible benefits for the voters, for the society of South Africa, because it doesn't help if we have economic stability that might be similar to the growth we saw during the President Mbeki era, where we had phenomenal growth in the economy, but it never translated into jobs. So the biggest thing now for the GNU is to deliver tangible benefits. We have seen in the last 6-7 months that they can deliver stability as they had promised. So now people basically will not eat stability. That stability needs to now be converted into tangible benefits, which is jobs, which is security, because we know how rampant crime is right now, and we need to start seeing also a decrease in corruption. Because that's what the DA promised, that if we are in government, the society will see drastic change in how we deal with corruption. Those tangible benefits need to start coming to the fore now, and that's what that's what we'll be looking out for when the president presents his State of the Nation address next month.
No, what do you think has led to this coalition effectively holding? Because there has been a lot of noise. There have been fractions. There's ongoing contestation within political parties and even outside of political parties about this GNU. But it seems that no matter how much mud is thrown at it, whether intentionally, unintentionally, and sometimes even by the GNU partners, right? So it's not just external stakeholders.
Their own infighting.
Yes, their own infighting, their own ructions. Somehow it has still managed to hold. Why do you think that is? I mean, what are the factors that you believe are driving the solidification of this GNU?
Yeah. At the very core of it, Cathy, is on the one side, the desperation by the Democratic Alliance. This is their one chance to get into government and demonstrate what they can do, and they cannot miss this opportunity. So they will make sure that it works. On the other hand, it's the ANC's need to stay in government so that they can work from government to turn their fortunes around, at least to attempt to turn their fortune around and win back the hearts and minds of the South African voters. So it's very much a marriage of need. They both need to be in the GNU. So no matter what differences and obstacles they come across, both parties, the main players in the GNU, will make sure that they find each other amongst those obstacles and amongst those differences and make it work, because they both need to be in that government. Neither one of them can afford to be outside of government and allow the other to take root and consolidate their power further. So both of them really need to be there, and they will move mountains. No matter what obstacles are there, both internally and externally, both parties will fight to make sure the GNU works.
So what then should we anticipate in the coming year when it comes to the political life? I'll get into the economics, and I'm not asking you necessarily to look into a crystal ball, right, and predict what tomorrow holds. But there's something that you said when we started the conversation, and you said the GNU has brought stability politically and economically. And when we look at the economic aspect, it is that very stability that many will say is what drives sentiment, including investor sentiment, and results in whether or not we have people investing in this country. So from that point of view, if we are to forecast more broadly what the outlook on South Africa is for 2025, where would you say we're sitting?
I think 2025 is going to be a rough year for us, mainly because we are headed to the municipal elections next year. So both the main players in the GNU will be jostling for more exposure, so to say, within society, in the sense that they will need to show the other up, that we can do this better than the other. So there'll be a lot of jostling for the spotlight, but also in terms of churning out policy positions and fighting for those policy positions, because as we know that the parties, at least on paper, are on the opposite end of the ideological spectrum, at least on paper. So they would want to be seen by their voters to be advancing their traditional policy positions in order for them to consolidate for next year when we go to the municipal elections. Municipal elections, a slightly different cup of tea in the sense that it deals with a lot of localized issues, but on the main stage, municipal elections can and will be used to advance these two parties' consolidation of power within the GNU. So the municipal elections will be very much used sort of as a proxy to consolidate power within the GNU. So we'll be seeing a lot of that. And over and above that, internal divisions in the ANC are going to take root, because if you remember, Cathy, in 2027, we're going to the national elections of the ANC. So that's 2 years away from now. So you're going to start seeing a lot of jostling within the ANC, and support for the GNU or criticism against the GNU will again be used as a proxy with these factional battles within the ANC as people start jostling for power and positioning themselves for 2027, the internal elections within the ANC. So it's going to be rough sleeves both internally in the ANC, but also in the GNU in terms of both the main players wanting to sustain their power and to consolidate their power going into 2026, because 2026 is really what will tell us whether the MKP is still sort of a threat to this GNU or not. So both parties are going to work together towards that, but also against each other in order for each one to consolidate their power.
So effectively, what you then are anticipating are more public spats between some of these political players, possibly even more social media spats between some of them, again, that we have seen on an ongoing basis in 2024. The difficulty, of course, is that all of this contributes to the perception that South Africans form about the individuals and also the political parties that they represent. So when it comes to then building trust and ensuring that South Africans continue to have trust in the political system, in the parties, in the individuals within the parties, that's not necessarily going to bode well.
It won't, Cathy, but I think the Democratic Alliance has a bit of an upper hand when you compare it to the ANC, in that they do that very well. They have someone that's outside of government that you might call a rabble-rouser of sorts in Helen Zille, who goes out and causes this commotion out there in public. And then their government deployees are actually sitting in cabinet and doing the actual work. Whereas with the ANC, with its divisions, internal divisions, they are in a weaker state because they can't sort of attack, so to say, as a pack the way the DA is, because you can see the DA is very strategic in how they manage the spats, but also coming in and solving the issues when John Steenhuisen will come in, and after Helen Zille has caused a lot of commotion, then John Steenhuisen will come in and say, we are committed to this GNU, we will sit with the president, we'll sit with the deputy president at the mechanism that solves all the issues, and will work through all these issues. The ANC seems to not be able to talk with that one voice and that strategic two-pronged attack because of its own divisions. So,
sorry to come in there. I mean, do you genuinely believe that Helen Zille is often sent out by the party? You don't think she's just acting on her own? Especially because some of the comments that she has made and interactions have also been bad for the DA. They haven't all been good for the party.
They haven't been good for the party, Cathy, if you look at it on from a national perspective. But Helen Zille looks at it strictly from a traditional DA voter prism, so to speak. When she does that, she's speaking to the core, the traditional voter, the DA's traditional voter, and shutting off everyone else, because they still need to consolidate that base and make sure that base believes that they will not sell out to the ANC. So when she speaks all those, I'd say fringe and sometimes really sharp comments, she doesn't really care so much about the rest of the voters. She's speaking to the traditional DA voter, and then it's John Steenhuisen's job to then come in and soothe everyone else and smooth the waters. So I really believe it's very strategic, because otherwise they would know how bad it is for the DA. As you've said, a lot of those have been very bad. But they speak to the traditional DA voter, and they ensure that voter that the DA hasn't sold out to the ANC.
All right, it's 10:30. We're going to continue the conversation with Ngo Dube, political economist and also social commentator. He'll continue to weigh in then on the year ahead. Dr. Aisha Omar was scheduled to be part of this conversation, but it looks like she won't be able to join us any longer, so we do apologize for that. It's now 10:30, time for your latest news headlines.
Thank you, Cathy. In the news headlines on SAFM, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good morning. Law enforcement agencies have started to investigate the alleged 2024 matric results leak. They include the Hawks and the State Security Agency. President Cyril Ramaphosa says that South Africa's tourism sector has the potential to be larger than it is. There was a sharp recovery in 2022 to more than 70 billion rand, but not enough to reach pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. And South Korea estimates that 300 North Korean soldiers have been killed in Russia in fighting against Ukrainian forces. A South Korean member of parliament has revealed the figure following the country's National Intelligence Services briefing. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 19 rand 16 to the dollar, 23 rand 26 to the pound, and 19 rand 57 to the euro. Markets in Asia extended losses at the closing bell. The JSE rate across the board in mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe are lower. Gold is trading at $2,686, platinum $960 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $80.98 a barrel.
Defending champions Bayer Leverkusen want to stay close to the log leaders, while Borussia Mönchengladbach are navigating a path to the top four. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch Bayer Leverkusen versus Borussia Mönchengladbach on Saturday, 18 January at 7:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Experience award-winning hospitality at Birchwood Hotel's 4-star offering, Silver Birch, located minutes from the airport and shopping facilities, and offering luxurious rooms with ample dining and leisure options, including the on-site Mangwanani Spa, gym, pool, and so much more. You will soon realize why there's simply nothing like Birchwood. From now until 13 January, you can enjoy festive deals at only 1,250 per single room or 1,500 rand per sharing room, including breakfast. Book now at birchwoodhotel.co.za. T's and C's apply. The SAFM Playwriting Competition is back. After receiving hundreds of entries last year from South African writers of different ages and ethnic groups sharing their stories, now the time is yours. It's your story. You decide. SAFM invites all writers to explore the medium of sound, the theatre of the mind, and to create a 1-hour radio play in English. Get writing now and submit your play before the 3rd of February 2025 for a chance to win one of 3 large cash prizes. For more information, visit safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
We continue the conversation on the Talking Point. We're looking at the state of the country 2025 and what is it that we can expect when it comes to what 2025 may offer us. Joining us for this conversation, Ngo Dube is a political economist and also social commentator. Of course, I'll also be taking your contributions to this conversation. If you have to look at the state of the country, what do you think 2025 has in store for us? Anything new you think 2025 is going to put on the table? A change perhaps of tact when it comes to our politics, maybe even when it comes to our government? What is it really that you would be expecting for the upcoming year? I'll take your calls on 086 0002032 is the number to dial, and on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. No, we have to talk about the economy before I bring in our listeners. You know, they say everything is going wrong and we try to find all sorts of answers to the problems, but it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah.
So is it really all the economy?
I think, Cathy, right now our South Africa is at a crossroads when it comes to our economic state. We desperately need to recover from the years of stagnation and decline. This is what will make or break the GNU. I think if you look at the economic forecast for this year, the IMF is forecasting 1.5% growth. The Reserve Bank itself is forecasting 1.6%, and if you look at other advisory firms around the world and locally, they're pegging us at 1.6%, and more optimistic ones up to 2.6%, which I really think is a push. But economic growth is what will make or break the GNU. Not just economic growth, but economic growth that brings jobs. I think every quarter last year, when Stats SA released job numbers, we were always left gasping at how bad they are, and it's something that needs to change drastically. As soon as quarter one this year, we need to start seeing change. Like I said earlier, Cathy, the GNU has provided stability, but it's all meaningless if people can't feel the tangible benefits of that stability. It can't just that big business and capital are enjoying economic stability and making profits, but are not being convinced by this government in terms of persuasion, in terms of providing the necessary conducive environment for business to be able to invest into the economy and start creating those jobs. So it's not just growth that we're looking for, which has eluded us for years now. This government needs to come up with a plan for a growth that creates jobs immediately.
What would need to happen? What would you be looking at that would signal the fact that there is in fact going to be a change? Which of the calendar events, and I'm thinking here maybe it's SONA, maybe it's budget, but perhaps there's something, new that hasn't happened before, that could happen, right? But what would signal to you that indeed we're going on a different trajectory than what we have been this whole time?
First and foremost, Cathy, I'd be looking at a SONA that does not give us the usual grandiose plans and visions. I think people have had enough of the grand visions for the country, and we've had various reiterations, the NDP and so on. So we now need concrete, executable plans that are going to be implemented immediately. So that's the signal I'm looking for first at SONA to give us a glimpse of what the budget speech will actually give us. If those two fail, my prediction really is that the GNU will not have a good year after that, because I think we've had a lot of these plans over the years. SONA after SONA, promises and promises. This year, the main signal will be concrete, executionable plans that can be implemented immediately, and we can start seeing fruits being born just a few months later, because, as I said, tangible benefits are what people are looking for now.
Denzel, you're calling us from Kimberley, and, well, you say people are tired of excuses. You don't want to hear any more excuses in 2025. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy. 2025, yes, the direction must be changed. We already know the culprits. We won't go anywhere by go and ask them the same questions. Cathy, I'm looking for one example is the NPA. Ms. Johnson, she's been there a couple of months now. Her problem was to appoint the right investigators. I want to hear from her within the next 3 months. Did she do that? Did she find the right people to do the job? And I focus on you guys, you journalists. We all of us know the culprit. Just go back. You're talking about looking for new stuff. I don't want any new stuff for now. I want to focus on those promises, your interviews that you had with municipalities. I want to focus on the lies, or we must put our foot on their necks, and keep them there. Keep them under pressure so that they can feel we know about them and we want change. That will be my lookout for this year. It's pressure and implementation.
Denzel, do you get the sense that the pressure still works in the way that it used to? And what I mean by that is that, do people care about having pressure being put on them, or is it something that they've learned to switch off to? Leaders in the country, they've learned to switch off to. So whether you're complaining or not, they're actually unbothered.
You know what, Cathy? That is a very interesting question you are asking me. This country is not leaderless, like I told you before. We have right people in the right jobs. All they need is to get things right, to implement. And those leaders, the question that you are asking me, if we get tired or what, the problem is, Cathy, the ones that can do the job, we must focus on them. We must give them the support. And the ones that don't do the job, get rid of them. Because a person like Advocate Johnson, she can do the job. She's the right person for the NPA. She needs the support. So we must focus on the support. And like I said, your interviews that you did before, if you're just going to sit back and focus on new interviews, then those ones will say, they forgot about me. Let me carry on with my thing. If we can go back and reflect and put our finger on the pulse, like Mr. Ashram Gada says, and keep it there, that will work for me. That is my focus this year.
Okay.
What I did, and just keep my Let them feel like our presence. That is the only way.
All right.
And we need your support as a journalist and political analyst. Yeah.
Denzel, thanks for that contribution. No, as Denzel is speaking, I was thinking about, well, are there different ways in which, even as citizens, we need to be rethinking or reimagining what putting pressure on our country's leadership looks like? Because, yes, we might have, hundreds of protests that take place in this country on a yearly basis. But there does seem to be a level of tuned out or, turning off of that noise that people have become accustomed to, leaders across, the different spheres of government. So what used to happen after a protest 5 years ago, 10 years ago, is not what happens today. Some of the leaders don't even bother to come to receive the memorandum. They don't even bother to respond to whatever concerns people are raising. And it does mean that there's a reimagining on our part that needs to take place.
Yeah, very much so, Cathy. And I think the May 2024 elections kind of made the South African society rediscover their power in what really gets the attention of the politicians. It's the vote. And I think South Africans used it very effectively last year, and they must continue doing that, because ultimately that's what will get you a politician's attention when you hit them close to their heart and in their pocket, so to speak. Because if they don't get the votes, they are out of a job. Because, as you say, protest action doesn't seem to carry the same weight it used to be. Our politicians are totally tuned out. I'll even venture as far as saying many of them actually do not care anymore. They will look at a protest action or a marching to their offices and look through the windows and not even bother to come out and receive the complaints. So really, I think we've rediscovered that the vote is the most powerful weapon that society holds, and South Africans just need to use it more effectively with every by-election and every election that comes along.
But surely that can't be the only solution that we sort of look to, right? Because in between election cycles are 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
No.
How many election cycles are we willing to go through before we actually see the positive change that we want in our society? Yeah, there must be something in between.
I think in between, Cathy, what the May 2024 election has taught us also is not to peg our colors to ideological positions. We need to be very pragmatic in how we approach our problems as society, the problems we are faced with, especially in the political sphere. We need to be able to show support where it's due, regardless of our ideological thinking, and also criticize where criticism is due, regardless of whether those people share our ideological views or not. What I'm saying, Cathy, is people that support the ANC or the Democratic Alliance, the Democratic Alliance should not be married to those parties, even when they feel the parties err, just because they share the same ideological views. We should be able to criticize when we need to criticize. We should be able to say, well done, regardless of whether it's a DA minister, it's an ANC minister. If a person is performing well, they need to be celebrated. If they are not performing, regardless of which party they come from, they need to face the wrath of the party. And I think the fourth estate needs to come to the party there as well, and re-look at how they cover South African politics, because I think it's been very much in the last
decade or 15 years or so, it's been very much predictable which publications will come up in support of which politicians or positions. The Fourth Estate needs to really come to the party and play their true and meaningful role by being fair arbiters of the truth in society.
All right, we're going to continue the conversation. I'm back with more of your calls on the other side of this.
Abafana West 10 and the Rockets are both looking for a decent spot in the top half. They are all confident they will walk away from the battlefield with jubilance. This is the Betway Premiership. Catch the great passion and drama of Mzansi's beautiful game. Golden Arrows FC takes on TS Galaxy FC on Saturday, 18 January, live on SABC 1 at 2:30 p.m. and SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
You're listening to The Talking Point, second hour of the show. We've been reflecting on the state of the country and what 2025 potentially holds in store for us. Ngo Dube is a political economist and social commentator. He's been our guest throughout the hour. Let me bring in more of our listeners. Janusz, you're in Cape Town. Good morning, Janusz.
Good morning, Cathy. Good morning to your political analyst. Good morning to you, sir. The pressure, economical pressure from inside, it should be put into the government, of course. And but not only that, we know that Trump is going to be new president USA, and he already mentioned that he's going to remove all these privileges put into South Africans' business who dealing the USA, and because he's not happy with that one. And actually, it's a shame for us because he shouldn't go this way. I mean, we as the businesses people and ordinary people will suffer, where these politicians who actually make this mess will be not touched. What I will propose, and I would ask whoever is there, to write, I will do it, to write to Mr. President, don't do it, please, but rather punish, like many times happened, that punish these ANC officials who actually create this situation that after 30 years of telling us better life for all, we are in such a situation. So I now also we know that what Mr. Ramaphosa and Musk had a discussion about possibility of his business be implemented in South Africa, and Ramaphosa told him, okay, but 30% of your business must go to the blacks, that's the point. That's the point. We have got racism in our country, and we're not going to go any further. And Mr. Trump and other people, I encourage them to expose this racism in our country and sit on ANC and remove this racism. Like apartheid was removed because through the economical, situation that there was no deal with the South Africa because of the economical situation, then also should be done the same to ANC. If the ANC will not drop that racism, we're never going to have any better situation. Stronger points, stronger rules, we know about it, of economical racism brought this unemployment and crime to our party. So what do you think about this?
Janusz, we'll leave it there with you for this morning, Janusz, out in Cape Town. And look, I take the point that Janusz is making about how we go about ensuring equity in the country, right? And, he thinks that it is racist. I don't know that it's correct to describe efforts and policy that are, in principle, put in place to create equity in our country, that it would be fair to describe it as that. We still remain the most unequal society in the world. Have you seen the complaints that people have about the prices of property in Cape Town that have just skyrocketed even beyond what locals could traditionally afford? So if you can't live in your own city, then it tells you that there is a problem. So we still have to solve the inequality problem. Brian, you're in Cape Town as well. Oh, no, you want to come in there? Apologies.
Yes, no, sorry, Cathy. No, I just wanted to emphasize your point that I think really it is a bit short-sighted to look at equity policies and redress mechanisms as racist when what they are designed to do is to address those racist inequalities that are there in society, and if they are not addressed, they are a ticking time bomb that will explode one day and engulf us all. As you said, you are the most unequal society in the world, and it needs to be addressed urgently. And it can't be addressed by removing race from equity policies and etc. Race is the cause of inequality. The poverty is black in South Africa, and particularly African. So you can't remove that when you want to create an equitable society.
Thanks for that contribution. Brian, good morning.
Good evening to you and your listeners.
Yes.
Cathy, I just want to respond to what your guest has just mentioned. It's fine if the wealth of the country is distributed equitably, but it is not. It's going to the black middle class in the name of BEE. So, many of the capitalist regimes use race to hide the class struggle. So this is why we haven't made any serious inroads into distribution of wealth. It can only be done in a genuine socialist society. I want to get back to the GNU. The GNU throughout the world, it hasn't benefited the working class at any time during its lifespan. Maybe in the imperialist countries, the working class, there was minor reforms that were instituted, but it hasn't benefited the working class. And my favorite example is Chile, where the government of national unity was formed, and it actually cost Salvador Allende his life to believe in this hoax. In the end, Pinochet and his allies came and they murdered him. So it hasn't worked there. It hasn't worked in El Salvador as well. And all the Latin American countries where the GNU has been, or alliances have been formed by the bourgeoisie, the military, the junta in El Salvador, the oligarchy in El Salvador. It's only in the imperialist countries. So, the working class must get away from that thinking of that the GNU is going to help them. It's not going to help them. It's the system of capitalism remains firmly in place, and that system will continue to oppress and exploit the working class, because that is what it depends on for its ability to continue. So it's really a hoax to believe that the GNU is going to assist the working class. It will never do that. It will do that perhaps with the help of the so-called fake Communist Party and the COSATU who lead at election times, who call upon the workers to come and vote for the ANC, the Capitalist Party, and but it will give it a little lifespan, but it won't do much for the working class as a whole. In fact,
okay. All right, Brian, thanks for that input. Magdalene in Mangaung, good morning.
Morning, Cathy. Cathy, I think I heard somebody from one of the national radio stations saying yesterday that South Africa is the same as a parent working for 40 years in the government or wherever. By the time they get their pension fund, they call other people from outside, not in their home, to come and enjoy the benefits of the pension fund. So this is what is happening in South Africa. We made it clear after we realized that democracy in South Africa is not working for the South Africans for equity. So we made it clear with our votes that we need multi-political parties in the parliament to stand for the interest and the needs of the South Africans. But the very same multi-party are now leaving everything to ANC's power. And we don't need ANC to be powerful in South Africa anymore alone. We don't need that. We were in the expectation that these multi-parties who are in the parliament to stand up and say no confidence to the president. No confidence to the president. So that things should be worked out in a roundabout for the interest and benefits to South Africans. That's what we need.
Okay. Magdalene, thanks for that contribution. We're quickly running out of time, so Ngo, I'll come to you just to give you a parting shot.
Thanks, Cathy. I think, as I've said before, what we're looking for this year is that signal from especially the president when he comes on for SONA. We want to see how pragmatic he can be in solving our programs and not have to, because I was quite disappointed when I listened to him at the January 8th statement. He seemed to only to be interested in signaling to the core base of the ANC voter that they still are very much aligned with the National Democratic Revolution, the Freedom Charter, etc. And he was less interested in coming up with pragmatic solutions for us that do not care for ideology, but answer the problems that we are faced with this year, right now in South Africa. And that's what will make or break the GNU, the tangible benefits that society needs to start feeling, and not just the much vaunted stability which is only being enjoyed by capital and big business right now. It needs to filter down to each and every individual on the ground.
Thank you for that contribution. Ngo Dube is a political economist and social commentator, and Dr. Oma does send her apologies for being unable to join us for the last hour of the show. It's 11 o'clock, time for the latest news update.
Thank you, Cathy. Top stories at 11. Investigation into alleged matric results leak underway, and South Korean soldiers killed in Russia. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good morning. Law enforcement agencies have started to investigate the alleged 2024 matric results leak. They include the Hawks and the State Security Agency. This follows public outrage to reports that an independent online platform has been selling the results for 100 Rand before Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwagobe's official release this evening. Many are questioning how the platform gained access to such sensitive information. Gwagobe says that her department suspects the leak to have happened in the end processes of the release of the results. She addressed the media at the Top Achievers Breakfast event in Fairlands in Johannesburg.
It became clear to us about 48 hours ago that there is a potential breach in our information. The breach seems to have happened only at the tail end that pertains to the verified results that have already been finalized. You will recall that once we've compiled the results, we have to share our results with certain stakeholders so that they can start getting ready with their processes. So there's a very real possibility that there may have been a breach in that process.
The Mineral Resources Department says it needs 12 million rand to bring illegal miners to the surface at a disused mine in Stilfontein in the northwest. This is pending the ruling of the Constitutional Court on whether the responsibility lies with government or the owners of the disused mine in Buffelsfontein Gold. The High Court in Pretoria placed the matter under judicial management after one of the affected community members, Zinzi Tom, whose brother is also underground, approached it. He demanded that the state should fund the operation to bring the illegal miners to the surface. 1,570 illegal miners who have surfaced have been arrested so far. 9 bodies have been retrieved. The department spokesperson Makosonke Buthelezi.
I wish to confirm that the DMRE, in conjunction with the Minerals Council of South Africa, will be bearing the cost for the retrieval of the illegal miners at Stilfontein, and it is estimated that the whole operation is going to cost close to 12 million. In terms of when the race is going to start, machinery is already on site, and it is anticipated that they might start any time from today.
Members of the Committee of the Judicial Conduct Tribunal unanimously hold the view that allegations against suspended Judge Tintswalo Makhubele could constitute gross misconduct. This is revealed in the tribunal's report penned to the Judicial Service Commission on a complaint filed that civil society organization #UniteBehind has filed. The organization alleges that Makhubele violated the separation of powers principle by being both a judge and chairperson of the PRASA board. It alleges that she also advanced corruption and state capture. Kenny Mapanga reports.
In the 13-page report, the tribunal found, upon assessing the evidence before it, that her version of events to the body was, among other things, quote-unquote, deliberately misleading and unambiguously insufficient. The tribunal further noted that during cross-examination, the suspended judge did not fare any better. All eyes are now on the JSC, who will consider the findings. If the JSC finds suspended Judge Makhubele guilty of gross misconduct, the matter would have to be sent to the National Assembly for a vote, where 2/3 is required for impeachment. Kenny Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says that South Africa's tourism sector has the potential to be larger than it is. There was a sharp recovery in 2022 to more than 70 billion rand, but not enough to reach pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. The number of non-resident visitors gracing South African shores increased from 2.7 million people in 2021 to 7.3 million in 2022. Ramaphosa says the government of national unity has identified the growth of tourism as a vital part of job creation. Sibahle Mota reports.
Ramaphosa has described South Africa's domestic tourism as the backbone of the tourism economy. In January and July last year, South Africans took over 21 million trips to explore their country. And in 2023, South Africa recorded around 8.5 million international tourist arrivals, amounting to over 95 billion rands. Ramaphosa says that the government is scaling up on tourism promotion strategies that will ensure that tourism figures return to pre-pandemic levels. He adds that the government will use the upcoming G20 summit to profile and actively promote South African tourism.
South Korea estimates that 300 North Korean soldiers have been killed in Russia in fighting against Ukrainian forces. A South Korean member of parliament has revealed the figure following the country's National Intelligence Services briefing. He also says that North Korean soldiers have been told to blow themselves up if they think they are about to be captured. Recapping the top story, law enforcement agencies have started to investigate the alleged 2024 matric results leak. I am Ondelambana for SAFM News. Headlines at 11:30.
Owning a small or medium-sized business takes courage, skill, and determination. The Clientele Legal Business Plan is there to protect, guide, and assist your business in managing the legal risks. Let us handle your labor matters, employment contracts, CCMA referrals, and so much more. Our team of professional lawyers are standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 42770. That's SAFM to 42770. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
VfB Stuttgart are strategizing on how to secure a dignified top half position, while RB Leipzig are aware of how crucial victory will be for them to rise higher. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch VfB Stuttgart versus RB Leipzig on Wednesday, 15 January at 9:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Happy New Year, South Africa! SAFM wishes you a prosperous and joyful 2025. as we step into a new year of possibilities. We're here, leading the conversations that move us. Thank you for being part of the SAFM family. Here's to making 2025 a year to remember. Together, SAFM, leading the conversations that move us in 2025.
The Bees want to be all over the pitch and keep the 3 points on home ground.
It could be 5 to Brentford. There's Wishes in here. Brentford have got 5 goals at St Mary's.
Meanwhile, the Reds want to emphasize that they will never walk alone, but with victory.
Lovely ball. Gakpo. Goal! Brilliant as well, as ever, from Cody Gakpo.
This is the Premier League, striving for excellence. Experience the glittering encounter between Brentford FC and Liverpool FC on Saturday, 18 January at 4:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
Morning, Cathy.
All right, 9 after 11 o'clock. Welcome to the third and final hour of the show. Apologies for that. We seem to have had a gremlin in the system. Okay, we're good to go now. There we go. This is just a recap of some of your contributions to the... Yeah, just wait for me to finish talking. Wait for me to finish. And then we'll get into the contributions from our listeners. So now we can cue the voice notes.
Morning, Cathy Mohlahlana and the SAFM listeners. I would like to say to you, Cathy, Happy New Year. This is Alfred Gama at Pizana in the Eastern Cape Province. I want to talk about the ANC renewal, Cathy. The ANC cannot renew itself, Cathy. They are lying to the people of South Africa. They cannot renew themselves. They can't, Cathy. They can't renew themselves. They are just lying. Thank you very much, Cathy and the SAFM listener. This is Alfred Gama at Pizana in the Eastern Cape Province. Thank you.
Hi, this is Cathy. Happy New Year, beautiful New Year. Welcome back. So this is exactly what's happening with our current ruling government. I think ANC is overwhelmed to manage and administer South Africa. Right now, they never anticipated where South Africa it is now, like currently. If you are going to have the richest economy in Africa, you need to be prepared to capacitate that. And I don't think ANC has ever thought of that. There's less education in the ANC. People are old and they just can't move with times. So I think the sooner they realize that, the better.
Good morning, Cathy. Emmanuel Mtolo. Great that you are back. We missed you a lot. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and the New Year. So happy that you are back. Because you are the person that is always talking live. You are educational. Yes, we are so happy that you are back. I always listen to your show. Thanks a lot, Cathy.
Good morning, Cathy. Happy New Year. Compliments on the New Year. Your last caller who's complaining about people not traveling. He must be specific and say township people in Joburg don't travel, most of them, or in general, township people don't travel. If you go to the rural areas, you will find that those people travel a lot. They are the ones you see them there in Cape Town, not even swimming, but wearing skirts, trying to kick the waves and all those things. So you must be specific. Let's be specific. Township people think they are smart, but they are not smart. They are not that smart, especially the ones from Soweto and all these other places calling people for saying that they are, yeah, Pariase Limpopo.
Good morning, Cathy, and welcome back. I just wanted to say that if you look at traffic circles, for example, you really hear of any accidents there, at least not even fatal accidents. You don't hear of any of those. So it just shows that if you give people choices, they might surprise you. They tend to make the better choices. However, traffic lights tend to control our movements, and that is when people tend to push the boundaries. And I think that's also when accidents happen. So maybe something to look into is to replace all traffic lights with just a whole bunch of traffic circles. We'll save on electricity and maybe even bring down the accident count. Just my 2 cents. Welcome back.
I don't know about that suggestion. Get rid of the robots and bring in traffic circles. Also, I don't know which traffic circles have you been driving around, because the traffic circles I drive around, people don't stop. That yield sign might as well not exist, especially the bigger traffic circles. So I don't know. I'm not sure that's going to solve our problem, but I hear what you're saying. Well, for the final conversation of the day then, we're going to be looking at key questions that we need to be asking as we get into 2025. Of course, it's always good to reflect, right? Reflect on the year that has been, reflect on what worked, reflect on what didn't work, but most importantly then, how do we grow and what kind of blueprint can we develop for ourselves in terms of moving forward? Dr. Kuma Mangisa is a leadership expert from Dr. Cam Leadership and HR Consulting. He joins me on the line now. Dr. Kuma, good morning.
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to the SAM listeners, and Happy New Year and compliments.
We talk about sort of the idea of stopping and reflecting is something that I think individuals do on an ongoing basis. I don't know, though, how much intentionality is behind it, how much of a process we make it, so that we truly understand perhaps where we have failed, what led to those failures, so that we can avoid some of those decisions, and where we succeed, what led to that success, so that we can repeat it.
Yeah, a great introduction indeed, Cathy. Others would call it introspection. Others would say take stock. And obviously, you do that when you have set your plans as a leader. You know, your plans that are smart, measurable, implementable, and achievable. It therefore means there is intentionality in putting your plans together as a leader. And at the end of the day, you look at the impact of your plans. You look at the impact of implementation of the plan. And therefore, it will be easy for you to introspect and take stock and see whether you have achieved your plans and you have made the impact that you required as a leader. So intentionality there, it is critical when putting together your plan in looking at the impact of your plans or your planning, basically.
One of the things, Dr. Kuma, that happened last year was that towards the end of the year, it just felt like so many people were just so tired that they just did not have the energy to not only continue with the year. Yes, there was that year-end fatigue, but the reality is that our country has been going through a dip, right? And it's affecting all of us as citizens. And so managing our energy is ever so critical. And I wonder, when one is thinking about how to look forward to the rest of the year and how to plan for the rest of the year, where should we begin? What are the kind of questions that we should be asking ourselves so that the process is meaningful and it's not just an exercise that perhaps is done in 5 minutes? And do we actually have to sit down and write things down and clearly think through some of our ideas?
A great and an excellent question, Cathy. I must reassure South Africans that being tired, it is a feeling. It's a feeling that tells you that perhaps something wrong had happened. Something needs to be looked at and it be redone again. So we need to feel tired. It's an emotion that's natural. We, as human beings, we need to feel tired. There is nothing wrong with that. However, then, we need to ask, us as leaders, pertinent questions as to what made South African people, the citizens, tired. Are they tired because they have worked so hard? Are they tired because that which they have been promised that it will happen, from a political leadership, has it happened? Are they tired because they have just lost hope that there is nothing good that's going to happen for this country? So as leaders, these are all what we need to be bothered with. It is correct that they are tired, but is their tiredness a correct reflection of us not achieving the plans that were put in place as political leadership or as leaders in general, or they are tired because perhaps they have not lost hope? However, where I am sitting, it will never be a fact that people must subjugate themselves to tiredness, because we as leaders, we continue to make, and it therefore means that we need to take stock, introspect, and replan and refocus, so that the attitude of the people, South African citizens, they change, so that we're able to give them hope and there is energy, reverberating. But without proper planning as leaders, we will continue to subjugate, the South African citizen to this permanent fatigue experience in 2024.
Of course, part of this conversation and what you're saying, Dr. Kuma, lends us to looking at the things that are within our control and the things that are not within our control. So if we're talking about leaders more broadly in our society, we don't get to control what the president wakes up tomorrow and does or doesn't do, or decides or doesn't decide. But I am in control of myself. I am in charge of myself. And I wonder what tools you would have for us as individuals to be able to manage ourselves, despite the fact that we might be in an environment that leads or conjures up some of these negative emotions and negative attributes.
Yes, excellent question again, Kat. That which you are unable to control, you don't have to put too much emphasis on or too much focus on, because it will just continue to waste your time. You will just continue to be fatigued and be unable to achieve and reach your plans. However, that which you are able to control as a person individually, that should be your main focus. That's very pertinent. But now, how do you make sure that you are able to identify that which you are able to control? One of the things that are coming to me is you look back at your previous plan and you ask yourself, these are the plans that I put for myself, for the first 3 months, 6 months, 12 months in the previous 2024. And you look at them, you scrutinize as to whether you were able to achieve those plans, whether they were realizable. If you were not able to achieve them, then you ask yourself, we ask ourselves as individuals, why did I not achieve the plans that I had put for myself? From that process, Cathy, then you'll be able to then say, perhaps my planning was not smart enough. I overplanned. In other words, I chewed more than what I could swallow. So, pertinent here is when we're planning, the SMART, acronym, we need to be specific when we plan. Our plan must be measurable. Until we are able to say, with time, we're able to achieve our plan. So for me, that's the tool or a system that we can use as individuals. Other than that, we're going to continue to chew more than we can swallow, and we're going to continue to be, fatigued and tired, and we feel hopeless. So critical that we need to be smart from an acronym point of view and make sure that we are able to take control of our lives, to take control, of the plans that we have, so that at the end of the day, they are achievable.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
And I guess then, the job of re-energizing ourselves really rests in our hands. Lebo has asked a question, Lebo, my producer, that is, he says he wants to know why so many of us don't keep our New Year's resolutions. And he says that personally, by the time it's February, he's forgotten about them. He's moved on. Is it a case of setting unrealistic goals? Is it a case of not being truly committed to the goals that one has set for themselves? Because I don't think he's the only one in that position. Dr. Kuma?
Yes, that's very true. But for me, purpose is the driving factor here, Cathy. You plan for a purpose. You can't because you see somebody running, Cathy, from January, at whatever particular speed, the jogging that we normally do, and you want to imitate the same, and you want to be as fast as you can, because we have decided or resolved to say the person is too slow for me. And you don't even know the person. Why is that person jogging at that particular pace? And you will only realize later that, a medical advice for that person was to say, jog, at a particular pace, one day, one time a day. And for whatever reason, you wanted to mimic that person, and you did not have a purpose of jogging. Why do you have to jog? You just saw others jogging. And in that example, Cathy, chances are you will fade away because you did not have a purpose right at the end. You did not know why you have to jog. So when I am putting down my plans, it should be the plans, my individual plans, with a purpose, so that I am able to commit to them. They are realistic, so that at the end of the day, I'll be happy and say, hurrah, I have achieved my plan, because I did not mimic somebody else's plan.
We're going to continue the conversation with Dr. Kuma. I want you to also tell me, how much energy and effort have you put into some of your plans? What are your plans? It's 11:30.
Thank you, Cathy. In the news headlines, the Council for Quality Assurance in General Aid and Further Education, Umalusi, has approved the 2024 matric results. It made the announcement at a news conference in Pretoria. More details in our next bulletin. And Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwagube says the alleged cyber leak of the 2024 matric results will not compromise the integrity of the National Senior Certificate. And the Mineral Resources Department says it needs 12 million rand to bring illegal miners to the surface at a disused mine in Stelfontein in the northwest. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Besties, friends, fam. This summer isn't just a season. It's how we live. And at S3, we're doing the most. So go ahead. Have seconds. Bring the extra friend. Heck, turn it into a party. Because it's the festive that never ends. So why settle for one show when you can do the most? Come on, pile on the activities this summer. We're cooking, binge watching, braaiing and serving nothing less than the most. Do the most with world-class entertainment. Download SABC Plus and stream your favorite anytime.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
You're listening to The Talking Point. We're looking at the key questions we have to ask ourselves as we get into 2025. Perhaps to break some of the old patterns, the old cycles of behavior that have had a negative impact on our lives, especially because that's what we want to change, right? Because we want to do better, we want to be better. Dr. Cuma Mangisa is a leadership expert from Dr. Cam Leadership and HR Consulting. And the question that I asked before we went into headlines is, how much planning have you been doing? And I don't mean the superficial planning where you're like, maybe you're driving and you think, oh yeah, this is what I must do. Or you're talking to your friend, you're like, I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you don't actually have a clear way of getting there. You don't break it up for yourself to see what are the steps that I need to take in order to get to where I say I want to be. And it will also be good to hear what some of the things that stop you from doing that might be. I'll take your calls on 086 000 2032, 086 000 2032, on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. Dr. Cuma, the planning in the head is something that lots and lots of us do, right? We've got lots of plans and ideas in our head. Sometimes we don't write them down. Sometimes we are not clear about how exactly we plan on achieving those plans. Does it matter whether I write it down or not? Should I write it down?
Yeah. The quick answer for me there, Cathy. That which you have not written down, chances are, one, it is not important. Or you may too soon forget about it because you are unable to go back to it and say, exactly, what is it that I wanted to achieve? And if you have not written it down, Cathy, you don't even have a process in place or tactics around how you would want to achieve that which purposely you put as your milestone or as your goal. So for me, I write it down, Cathy, because I am running a business. I need to put resources into my plans. I need to resource my plans, whether financially, with time, and physically. People that need to do certain things. So if you don't write that which you want to achieve, and you don't pen down the process, how will I move from point A to point B to achieve that which I want to achieve? Chances are you are not serious in terms of running your business. You are not serious as an individual in achieving your individual goals. So it's critical for me that you need to, write down your plans. And now and again, you constantly go back and check as to whether you are going according to your plans. Now, if you have not written anything down, how are you going to do that? You're going to depend on luck as to whether you achieve or you don't achieve. And obviously, you will start blaming others, the environment around you and not you yourself, by not writing down your plans and mapping up the process of achieving your goals or your plans. Thank you.
And I suppose part of that, Dr. Cuma, is to say that, yes, times may be tough and there are things structurally that are out of our control as South Africans, including from an economic point of view. But it doesn't necessarily mean that even within that ecosystem, there aren't ways in which some of us can create opportunities for ourselves, for our communities that do create sustainable livelihoods?
If things are becoming complicated for one as an individual, or as a group of people, the best thing to do is to ask from the why, because the challenge or the challenges that one would experience, it's not a unique challenge. Somebody somewhere or an organization somewhere, somewhere, they have gone through such challenges. Therefore, as social beings, as human beings, creating networks, creating relationships that are effective and working, of course, will therefore, in a way, assist the individual, even if you had thought that it is becoming so difficult for you to achieve your plan. But if you have a good network, a working network, effective relationships, you may find it easier, therefore, to work around that which you would think maybe it is beyond your control, because you are only at a particular space as an individual. But if you have got a good network, working relationships with each other, you will be able to circumvent, to address some of those challenges that perhaps you would have thought that it is difficult to manage and control them.
As people, we don't exist in isolation. So there is me, the individual. Then there's also in the context of our families, marriages. How far should this planning extend? Who must it include? Who must not be part of it? And again, how do we ensure that there is accountability around those plans, whether they are individually or within the family structure?
Within your center of network, or within your network of relationships, there are people that you know that in whatever circumstance, they will back you up. They will ever provide you some advice. They will ever provide you, some sort of assistance. So, as an individual, you must know your center of influence. People that, when you approach them in terms of your plans or the challenges that you are interfacing with within you trying to achieve something, you talk to people that you know they will support you. You talk to people that you know they are not going to support, they are not going to sabotage you. It is critical. You need to be able to discern from your network people who are authentic in supporting you, people who are, authentic leaders in their fold, and those are the people that you can connect with, you can seek advice from, in as far as your planning is concerned as an individual. Whether you are, interfacing with challenges But those that you know that they will ever be there for you, they are not gonna laugh about your challenges in achieving your plan. Those are the people that you can rely on, Cathy. So that when you do your planning, you know for sure that they will remain with you until you are able to achieve that which you have planned. Critical, of course, the question of having access to coaching, having access to mentors within your network, within your relationship. Those are the people that you can rely on, that will make sure that you be successful as they are successful.
Dr. Kuma, there's that famous quote that says, if you fail to plan, then you are planning on failing. So, what is the cost of not doing any of this? What is the cost of not thinking deliberately, intentionally around our plan and actively making decisions that can lead us closer to where we want to be?
It's a fundamental quote indeed, that if we fail to plan, it's like we are planning to fail as individuals or as leaders in general. For instance, from a country perspective, we should be aware now as leaders, that the country is facing, the world is facing economic uncertainty and resilience. We have challenges as a country from an ethical leadership and corporate governance. From, a corporate perspective, we have challenges around health and well-being of employees. Now, what is then done to us as leaders, if we have done our research and indeed we are content that this is what is likely we're going to be facing as a country, the question is then, what proper plan do we have as a country, as political leadership, to make sure that which I have mentioned thematically, it is not going to be a problem that is not resolvable. So having a proper plan, a proper process and system with resources to make sure that which I've thematically spoken about, it is not going to be an obstacle for this country to be economically viable. We do the same as individuals. You ask yourself a question. 2024, I had planned to do 1, 2, 3. It did not happen. Is it still important for 2025? Because times have changed. Must I incorporate that which I have not achieved in my 2025 planning? Is it still relevant? Does it still make sense to me where I want to go? So, again, being deliberate of planning, being deliberate of resourcing your plan, being deliberate of the purpose of why I have to plan in the first place. Critical for me, Cathy.
Dr. Kuma Mangisa, let me thank you for your time and sharing some of your expertise this morning. He's a leadership expert from Dr. Cam Leadership and HR Consulting. I hope that there's some nuggets, that you were able to take away from that conversation. Don't shy away from it. Don't run away. Confront situations. Maybe you're in a lot of debt. Confront it. Have a plan around how to get out of it. Because if you don't, come end of 2025, you're going to be in even more debt. So repeating some of these cycles, we only hurt ourselves. And we take the joy out of our own lives, basically. So I hope that we're going to have a year of more hope, and less of the malaise, and less of the, woe is me, what shall we do now? We have to get up and do something. We have to get up and do something. We actually don't have any other choice but to get up and do something. And I'm hoping that 2025 is going to be the year that we as South Africans get up and do something. All right, that's where we leave it. I'm back with you again tomorrow between 9 and midday.
Experience award-winning hospitality at Birchwood Hotel's 4-star offering, Silver Birch, located minutes from the airport and shopping facilities, and offering luxurious rooms with ample dining and leisure options, including the on-site Mangwanani Spa, gym, pool, and so much more. You will soon realize why there's simply nothing like Birchwood. From now until 13 January, you can enjoy festive deals at only 1,250 per single room or 1,500 Rand per sharing room, including breakfast. Book now at birchwoodhotel.co.za. T's and C's apply. The SAFM Playwriting Competition is back. After receiving hundreds of entries last year from South African writers of different ages and ethnic groups sharing their stories, now the time is yours. It's your story. You decide. SAFM invites all writers to explore the medium of sound, the theatre of the mind, and to create a 1-hour radio play in English. Get writing now and submit your play before the 3rd of February 2025 for a chance to win one of 3 large cash prizes. For more information, visit safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The book reading. Please note that the views expressed in this book are not that of the station. Listeners' discretion is advised. SAFM presents another episode of the book These Things Really Do Happen to Me by Kaya Dlanga, read by Lerato Mvelase.
My first kiss, a poster child of Gwababa. I received my first kiss under duress, a few days after the picture on the next page was taken. I had just turned 18. When I was 16, my mother shipped me off to live with my uncle and his family because she could no longer afford to fend for all of us. There wasn't enough room for everyone since we shared the 4-roomed house with another family. When I moved to my uncle's place in NU 16 in Mdantsane, I had no idea that my days of being a loner were about to end. My cousin, Mncedisi, a month younger than me, was a great extrovert. He wouldn't allow me to be the loner with his nose buried inside a library book or a Time or Newsweek magazine. 2 days after I had moved there, I stepped outside the house with Mncedisi to get milk at the small local cafe. I saw something I had never seen before. There were 7 girls, all well-dressed, standing and leaning against the stop-nonsense in my new neighbor's yard. The girls were between 15 and 17 years old. They just stood there in the morning sun, facing my uncle's house. "They see fresh meat," my cousin said. "And you're it." It happened the next day, and the next, and the next. The neighbor who lived at that house was named Asanda, and she was very pretty. Asanda started talking to us, and later, so did her friends. Suddenly, we were friends with the prettiest girls in the neighborhood. Asanda had a stout, shapely build and a bounce about her walk. She always walked like she was in a hurry to get somewhere. My cousin had fallen hard for Asanda. He was not the kind to hide his affections very well, whereas she was lukewarm to cold towards him. At times, she would be very dismissive. Kandiyeke man, yintoni kangaka? Leave me alone, man. What's wrong with you? Still, he was gentle and extremely affectionate. No matter how rough she was towards him, he was never disheartened. I could tell that she had a slight interest in me, but I had no interest in her. I was happily single. One evening, while we were all watching TV, she arrived and casually summoned me. Kaya, walk me to the shops. It was not unusual for her to ask me to walk with her, but while we were walking, out of nowhere, she stopped and kissed me, putting her tongue in my mouth. My tongue was paralyzed by this. When she was done, she carried on talking as if nothing had happened. We got to the shop and bought bread. We made our way back as if nothing had happened. Then, just before we got to the house, she stopped and kissed me again. I was shaken. Again. She made her way to her house and went home, still reeling. Only a few minutes had passed before she came back and asked me to walk her to the shops a second time. I hesitated, but then my uncle gave me one of his death stares, which moved me to action immediately. He thought I was being rude. I talked a lot this time, trying to make sure that she would be too distracted by conversation to pull the same trick on me. We went to the same shop, and this time we got milk. On the way back, she tried to kiss me again, but I leaned backwards. "We can't be kissing, Asanda," I said. "Why not?" she asked. "You are not my girlfriend," I replied. She stood in front of me and said, "Kandiphuze Kaya, kandiphuze Kaya, kandiphuze Kaya. Kiss me, Kaya, kiss me. Kaya, kiss me. Kiss me, Kaya." I told her I couldn't, and she stormed off towards her house, not looking back. She didn't talk to me for weeks after that. My matric dance and Gwababa 2.0. At my matric dance, my outfit was not only tragedy. I wore what one could call a green-cum-beige jacket with a white polo neck. Over it, I had 2 chains. Not the rapper type, obviously, but 2 necklaces. Here is how the real tragedy unfolded. Some years before, I had started taking the train to and from school without my mother knowing. My mother gave me taxi fare every morning, but I figured out that if going to school cost 10 Rand per day on the taxi, the train cost me 10 Rand for the whole week. I had 40 bucks in my pocket every week, so the long walk from and to the train was worth it. After school, before taking the train back from Vincent train station in East London, I would usually go to the C&A at Vincent Park Shopping Centre, a local mall, to read Superman, Spider-Man, Jughead, Archie, Richie Rich, Time Magazine, Scientific American, Popular Mechanics, and various other geeky material that ensured I would continue not knowing how to talk to girls. I could never afford to buy any of the magazines, so I would just read them in the store. Otherwise, I would go to Vincent Library, where I read some more on the planets, cosmos, and art history, as well as novels. But this day was one of those rare days when I did not go geek out. On this day, I decided to take the train back from school earlier than usual. I had to wear my red Hudson Park High School blazer in the sweltering sun, since we're not allowed to take off our blazers under any circumstances. I got on the train and noticed that it was not as packed as the later trains. This was great, because it meant I could sit down. I then saw the most beautiful girl sitting with a friend. She was wearing a light blue skirt and a white shirt. She too was coming from school, Greenpoint High. My immediate crush was as jolting as an alarm waking you up in the middle of a deep slumber. Train Crush looked my way and gave me a slight smile. I turned away quickly. Surely she was not smiling at me. I did not want to be presumptuous. This was my standard response back then. I think still is now. Anyway, at some point, she walked past me, and I felt my heart ripping my ribcage. I worried she could hear it because she looked at me again and smiled, then carried on past me. Each time the train stopped at a station in Mdantsane, I hoped she wouldn't get off, that she would hop off at the same stop as me. The train eventually ground to a halt at my stop, Fort Jackson. I saw her grab her bags and could not believe it. I was excited and terrified all at once. I knew myself. I would be glad to see her every day, but there was no chance in hell I would dare talk to her. Seeing her more regularly, if I took this earlier train more often, would be both a pleasure and self-imposed torture. Let me share an example of my terror. One time on the train, my friends threatened to tell another girl I had liked for some time that I liked her if I didn't go up to her. They gave me 5 minutes. When that time was almost up, I went to her and said, "Listen, my friends over there want to see if I can talk to you. Just pretend we're having a great conversation and I'll be out of your hair soon." She laughed so much that we actually ended up having a conversation. She was laughing until she had to disembark. They were shocked. So was I. How I came up with that line, I have no idea, but I needed to get myself out of a potentially awkward situation. We became really good friends with that girl. But I digress. The next day, I made sure to catch the same train and carriage, praying she would be there. As I approached, I repeated a prayer. "Let her be inside. Let her be inside. Let her be inside." I walked in. There was train crush. I saw her talking to someone I knew. I tried to build up some courage to join them. Too shy, too awkward, too self-conscious. Out of nowhere, she walked to me and said, "Is your name Butka Kaya Letu?" I panicked. No, Kaya Letu. She knew my name, even if she got it wrong. I stared at her longer than necessary, both out of pure shock that she just walked to me and at how beautiful I thought she was. Her voice sounded like a song I wanted to hear often, and I loved how she said, "Kaya Letu." I don't know if I liked how she said it or just the fact that she was saying my name.
That was another episode of the book These Things Really Do Happen to Me, written by Kaya Dlanga, read by Lerato Mvelase. The book is available online and in all leading bookstores countrywide. It is broadcast on SAFM at 11:45 Monday to Thursdays on The Talking Point. It is produced for the station by Vovi Patala, read by Lerato Mvelase, technical production Wiseman Manele, Nanda Khoza, and Tato Mapurum.
12 o'clock on Monday, the 13th of January, 2025. A very warm welcome to Updated Noon here on SAFM. Leading the conversation, I'm Sakina Kamwendo. Coming up in the next hour,
there has been a platform that has been selling what they call is authentic matric results to learners. They have been preying on innocent learners.
The Hawks are investigating a possible matric results breach, and
what we're dealing with here is a historic first. That is the first formal probe into a sexual harassment complaint against a very senior judge of the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court.
The Judicial Conduct Tribunal probes sexual harassment allegations against Judge President of the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court, Selby Mbenenge. And coming up in sport,
Champions Trophy squad has been announced. I'll bring you the latest from the Australian Open, and Henk Lattergan looking good in the Dakar.
That's John Gericke, and he'll be back with those details in the second half of the show. Please get in touch with us. Tell us what's on your mind. 41391 is our SMS line number, charged at R1.50 per SMS. You can also write to us via X, our handle at SABC News_radio, or you can send us a WhatsApp voice note on 082-692-3909. Well, these and more stories coming up on this Monday edition of Updated Noon. First, though, let's bring you up to speed with the latest news with Ondela Mbana.
Thank you, Sakina. Top stories at this hour. Umalusi approves 2024 matric results, and former apartheid head of intelligence Neil Barnard dies. For SAFM News, I am Ondela Mbana, and a very good day. The Council for Quality Assurance in General Aid and Further Education, Umalusi, has approved the 2024 matric results. It has, however, expressed concern over continuing malpractices during matric examinations. It says this has been happening at private colleges, especially in KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga. Umalusi CEO Dr. Mafura Kumetsi briefed the media in Pretoria.
Almost 365 N2 to N3 candidates in the private college sector are reported to have been involved in acts of copying. In the case of the NSC, while there's been a reduction in the number of reported cases of group copying, the Department of Basic Education, that is, the number decreased from 945 in 2023 to 407 in 2024. Umalusi remains seriously concerned that KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga are once again at the top of the list, with 195 and 74 implicated candidates respectively.
Meanwhile, Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwagube says the alleged cyber leak of the 2024 matric results will not compromise the integrity of the National Senior Certificate. Law enforcement agencies, including the Hawks and the State Security Agency, have started to investigate the alleged results leak. There is public outrage to reports that an independent online platform has been selling the results for 100 Rand ahead of Kwagobe's official announcement. The minister briefed the media at the Top Achievers Breakfast event in Fairlands, Johannesburg.
No, it will not affect the integrity of the results, and here's the reason why. We know that should there have been a breach, it is at the tail end of sharing the final results. So this has nothing to do with the back-end capturing of the results. The back-end capturing and calculating of the results is done in a very separate process that very few and limited people have access to.
The Mineral Resources Department says it needs 12 million rand to bring illegal miners to the surface at a disused mine in Stilfontein in the northwest. This is pending the ruling of the Constitutional Court on whether the responsibility lies with the government or the owners of the disused mine, Balfontein Gold. The High Court in Pretoria placed the matter under judicial management after one of the affected community members, Zinzi Tom, whose brother is also underground, approached it. He demanded that the state should fund the operation to bring the illegal miners to the surface. 1,570 illegal miners who have surfaced have been arrested so far. 9 bodies have been retrieved. The department spokesperson Makosonke Buthelezi.
I wish to confirm that the DMRE, in conjunction with the Minerals Council of South Africa, will be bearing the cost for the retrieval of the illegal miners at Stilfontein, and it is estimated that the whole operation is going to cost close to 12 million. In terms of when the rest is going to start, Commissioner is already on site, and it is anticipated that they might start any time from today.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says that South Africa's tourism sector has the potential to be larger than it is. There was a sharp recovery in 2022 to more than 70 billion rand, but not enough to reach pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. The number of non-resident visitors gracing South African shores increased from 2.7 million people in 2021 to 7.3 million in 2022. Ramaphosa says the government of national unity has identified the growth of tourism as a vital part of job creation. Sibahle Mota reports.
Ramaphosa has described South Africa's domestic tourism as the backbone of the tourism economy. In January and July last year, South Africans took over 21 million trips to explore their country. And in 2023, South Africa recorded around 8.5 million international tourist arrivals, amounting to over 95 billion rands. Ramaphosa says that the government is scaling up on tourism promotion strategies that will ensure that tourism figures return to pre-pandemic levels. He adds that the government will use the upcoming G20 summit to profile and actively promote South African tourism.
Former apartheid head of intelligence, Dr. Neil Barnard, has died at the age of 75. Barnard died in Gansbaai in the Western Cape this morning after a long battle with cancer. He was an academic before being appointed Director of National Intelligence. Barnard later became the first Director General of the Western Cape after the 1994 elections. Former National Party member Peter Marias has described Barnard as a dangerous man.
Neil Barnard. One should not speak ill of anybody that's deceased. But if I'm asked to give an opinion about him as a person while he lived, I would say he was a dangerous man. Very, very dangerous. Intelligent, loyal to PV Botha and the Nationalist Party in every respect, but dangerous.
Recapping the top story, the Council for Quality Assurance in General Aid and Further Education, Umalusi, has approved the 2024 matric results. I am Ondelambana for SAFM News. Headlines at 12:30.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m. Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo.
Well, thanks so much, Ondela. Good afternoon, everybody. It is 8 minutes after 12. Thanks so much for being with us here on Update at Noon. Let's take a quick look at our diary and some of the stories that we're hoping to cover this afternoon. So all about the matric results, both the NSC, that's the National Senior Certificate, and the IEB results will be released this evening. And, of course, it's going to be a big day for those matriculants and, of course, the families that have supported them throughout as those results are released. And just a short while ago, we also heard from the quality assurance body, Umalusi, pronouncing, their part on these exams. So we'll play some of that for you. And, of course, at this time, as you heard on Friday, quite a bit of emphasis on the psyche, the state of mind of matriculants. And Pearl is, of course, following that story for us with the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, who say they have noticed an increase in matric learners seeking assistance and have also urged students to reach out if they are feeling overwhelmed. So I guess just for all of us to be cognizant of this and try and steer them in the right direction, or if we are able to assist, to do so. And then the IEZ, as I said, the IEB results will also be released. We're also watching the story in Limpopo where Prince Lekukela Mojaji of the Balobedu Nation is expected to address the media. We understand that the prince plans to challenge the president's decision to issue a certificate of appointment to his sister, Princess Masalanabo Mojaji, as Balobedu Queen. So we'll speak to Pimani Baloy about that. The Mojaji Royal Council, led by the regent, wants the prince to ascend to the throne, and they say that they had no access to the princess for a number of years. If you've been listening to the show, you would have followed this particular story over a few years with us as well. And staying in Limpopo, the battle for the Vavenda kingship will also resume in the Polokwane High Court this week. Princess Masindi Mpepu challenging her uncle, Tony Mpepu Ramabulana, for the Vavenda kingship throne. The Princess Masindi successfully challenged her uncle in the Constitutional Court. And Michael watching that story for us. The latest from Stilfontein, our reporter Tabang there, indications that the retrieval of illegal mine workers will start soon there, and this after the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy indicated that they are committed to getting the operations underway. And then also just a few court stories that we are following, and the Judicial Conduct Tribunal, that also Kenny Mapanga is on that story, the Judicial Conduct Tribunal probing sexual harassment allegations against the judge of the Eastern Cape High Court Division. So there are quite a few stories, and we'll bring you updates on those.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM. If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
VfB Stuttgart are strategizing on how to secure a dignified top half position, while RB Leipzig are aware of how crucial victory will be for them to rise higher. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch VfB Stuttgart versus RB Leipzig on Wednesday, 15 January at 9:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Now, the Council for Quality Assurance in General Aid, General and Further Education, Umalusi, has approved the 2024 matric results. It made the announcement just a short while ago at a news conference in Pretoria. Umalusi says that there were no reported systemic irregularities that might have compromised the overall credibility and integrity of the exams. The Umalusi Council CEO, Dr. Mafura Kometsi, gives more details.
A total of 1,060,852 candidates participated in the 2024 end-of-year examinations. Out of that number, the National Senior Certificate NSC accounts for 832,993 candidates, or 78.5%, distributed across the Department of Basic Education, the Independent Examinations Board, and the South African Comprehensive Assessment Institute. The remaining 227,859, or 21.5%, candidates are distributed across three qualifications. 130,000 wrote the NCV levels 1 to 4 examinations. 49,421 wrote the N2 to N3 examinations, and 40,438 wrote the GETC ABET examinations. The examinations were administered at a combined total of 9,566 examination centers distributed across the 9 provinces of the country. As the law requires, all the examinations were subjected to the quality assurance processes of Umalusi. The powers and functions include the following: the external moderation of question papers and site-based assessments or school-based assessment, SBA, to ensure the maintenance of standards of assessment. The audit of the system to conduct, administer, and manage the examinations to determine the readiness of the whole system. The monitoring of the writing of the examinations across sampled examination centers to determine the credibility of the examinations. Participation in marking guideline standardization meetings in selected subjects to ensure that the marking process is accurate and reliable. Verification of quality of marking in sampled subjects to ensure accuracy and reliability. Standardization of examination marks to ensure comparability and consistency in learner performance across the years, and approval of the publication of the learner results. The above-mentioned quality assurance processes show that the quality assurance framework that Umalusi uses requires different role players to approach examination quality and standards from various but complementary dimensions to safeguard the integrity and credibility of every set of examination results.
Dr. Akometi also says that a total of 407 learners were found cheating in the 2024 National Senior Certificate Examinations. KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga provinces had 195 and 74 candidates implicated respectively. He has emphasized that cheating does not pay.
I find it necessary to flag the following cases. Almost 365 N2 to N3 candidates in the private quality sector are reported to have been involved in acts of copying. In the case of the NSC, while there's been a reduction in the number of reported cases of group copying in the Department of Basic Education, that is, the number decreased from 945 in 2023 to 407 in 2024, Umalusi remains seriously concerned that KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga are once again at the top of the list, with 195 and 74 implicated candidates respectively. I want to state emphatically that cheating does not pay. Regarding previous cases of irregularities involving teachers and invigilators, Umalusi is pleased with the progress made by the Department of Basic Education. The conclusion of the cases resulted in some of the invigilators and teachers being dismissed, while others had their salaries docked for up to 3 months. Similarly, we are pleased that the DB is considering reporting such cases to the South African Council for Educators, SACE.
And that was Umalusi Council CEO Dr. Mafura Kometi speaking early on.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Just last month, it was December, the season to be merry, or December, for those who know that it's not just a month, but a lifestyle. Now it's January and life is threatening watching financially. There's back to school and your own goals, and January is on everyone's lips.
Mara, you can get the relief you need right now and start the year strong with the personal loan from Nedbank with access up to 400,000 Rand. Search Nedbank Personal Loans and get a loan that offers you more. Nedbank. See money differently. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Besties, friends, fam. This summer isn't just a season. It's how we live. And at S3, we're doing the most. So go ahead. Have seconds. Bring the extra friend. Heck, turn it into a party. Because it's the festive that never ends. So why settle for one show when you can do the most? Come on, pile on the activities this summer. We're cooking, binge watching, braaiing, and serving nothing less than the most. Do the most with world-class entertainment. Download SABC Plus and stream your favorite anytime.
My name is Bandi Linyawane. I'm 17 and I'm a professional cricket player. While on tour, I was battling to keep up with school, so my parents moved me to UCT Online High School. It's changed the game for me. With the ability to learn from anywhere, I can get ahead and stay ahead. Sign up at uctonlinehighschool.com. It's not too late. Applications close 20 January 2025.
Update at noon, midday to 1 p.m.
20 minutes after 12 now, Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwagube has called for arrests to be made in a potential breach of the 2024 matric results. Now, this follows outrage over reports that an independent online platform has been selling the results for 100 rands ahead of Kwagube's official announcement later today. The department says that despite the alleged leak, the integrity of the National Senior Certificate has not been compromised as the results are insulated from any form of manipulation. Kwagube further elaborates on the Hawks investigating the matter.
Now, colleagues, this is extremely serious because, of course, if there has been a breach in our system, there are two processes that we need to follow. Number one, we need to determine as the DBE, are our systems secure and airtight enough? You will recall that once we've compiled the results, we have to share our results with certain stakeholders so that they can start getting ready with their processes. So there's a very real possibility that there may have been a breach in that process. And so if the breach has come from the DBE side, we will be investigating and consequence management will follow. However, if this is, as we may suspect, the result of a cyber crime, then this is why state security and the Hawks have become involved. The reason why we have not been able to speak about the matter for the last 48 hours is because the Hawks have indicated that their investigation is at an advanced stage, and therefore it became too sensitive for us to be able to divulge. However, I am aware that we do owe you an explanation in the sense that there has been a platform that has been selling what they call is authentic matric results to learners. They have been preying on innocent learners and siphoning them of money. And so we take this very seriously, and this is why the cyber crimes unit of the Hawks has been enlisted and is all over the matter. And so this is the update that I wanted to give you. Two things. The one is we are investigating at DBE whether or not our processes have been subject to a breach. And if so, if the process comes from our side, then we will deal with it. And if it's any of our people, we will deal with it. If the breach has come from the act of sharing the results with certain stakeholders, which we need to do for seamless distribution of the results, then we will deal with that, because then it means we've got to tighten our processes there. If we have been victim of a cyber crime, then we are dealing with it through state security and the Hawks. And I want to assure the people of South Africa that the results have been absolutely insulated from any manipulation. Whatever breach may have been, it would have been at the tail end of the verified results. And that becomes extremely important when we are dealing with this. But we're taking it seriously, and I can assure you that as we go through the next couple of days, we will make sure that something like this is dealt with. We are wanting an arrest to be made, and we are confident that the law enforcement agencies are moving at pace to make sure that an arrest is made. Because it's also important, colleagues, that we set an example. We set an example to people who are constantly looking to prey upon innocent people, making them pay, using cyber crimes to essentially sell bogus information on the internet.
And that was Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwahube.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.6 FM in Kimberley. Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
The battle for the Bavenda kingship is expected to resume in the High Court in Polokwane in Limpopo today. Princess Masindi Mpepu is challenging her uncle, who is, of course, the former Bavenda king, Prince Tony Mpepu Ramabulana, for the throne. And this after the Supreme Court had stripped the prince of the crown. In its judgment, the Supreme Court of Appeal also ordered the withdrawal of the prince's recognition certificate. For more on the latest developments in this story, we join on the line by SABC News reporter Michael Makungo. Michael, good afternoon. So perhaps let's just start with a bit of background for those listeners who may not have been following the story. What led to this battle for the kingship to be heard before the High Court?
Definitely good afternoon to you and to all the listeners. This is a court battle we started about a decade ago. You remember at some stage there was a coronation ceremony that was planned during the time of the former President Jacob Zuma, and it was interdicted in the Kendo High Court. And we know that the former Bavenda king Prince Dolimpe Brana was inaugurated somewhere in 1998, and by then there's this argument where some are saying he was inaugurated as an acting king, while others are saying he was a king. And then since then, we know that Princess Masindi Mpepu was very young by then. Now, for almost 10 years, this court battle started. She's challenging her uncle, Prince Dolimpe Brana. She's challenging for the throne. She believes that she's the rightful person to take over the Bafenda kingship. She wants to be the queen. So that's why we're here in the court today. This that court battle which has been continuing for almost a decade now. Right now, as I'm talking to you, the 10th witness is testifying. Is David Mabungo. He's the younger brother to the late King Petrin Pepu, and Petrin Pepu was the father to Dembanyiga Chimangatum Pepu, who is the father of Princess Masindi Mpepu, who's challenging the throne. And then also, this Dembanyiga was also a half-brother to Prince Dolimpe Brana, because also Dolimpe Brana, he was a son to Petri Mpepu. So today, coming to what happened to the testimony today, to give you a little bit about what the court what David Mpepu indicated today. He said what he understands is that under the Bafenda kingdom, there are about 28 senior traditional leaders, and 27 of them are supporting the royal family, which means are supporting Prince Dolimpe Brana to ascend the throne, while only one senior traditional leader is supporting Princess Masindi Mpepu. He's saying the senior traditional leader, the only senior traditional leader who is supporting Princess Masindi Mpepu is the one who was previously contesting the same kingship throne some years back.
So, Michael, this dispute has been going on for quite a while. What sort of impact has this had on the Bafenda kingship and on the royal household, as well as the people up in Venda?
Definitely, as we're talking now, the throne is vacant. There's no acting, there's no king, which means all the citizens has been halted that need the attention of the kingship. For instance, now, if we're talking about the issue of even the government its own, they've stopped the salary of the kingship. They also withdraw their securities. The government also withdraw its securities at the royal family now because of this dispute over the kingship. Coming to the Bafenda nation, there's a high division where others believe that Princess Masindi Mpepu must take over. They believe that she was disadvantaged because she's a woman, while others believe that the former king, Prince Dolimpe Mpepu, must continue as the king or must take over.
Oh, Michael, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much, Michael Makungo, SABC News reporter, and he is in court following this particular story for us. As he says, the court proceedings have started, and of course, we'll keep you up to speed with the developments.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Well, what do you know? It's 12:30. Let's bring you up to speed with the latest headlines with Ondelambana.
Thank you, Sakina. In the news headlines, the Council for Quality Assurance in General Aid and Further Education, Umalusi, says it has not received any report on systematic irregularities that could compromise the credibility and integrity of the 2024 matric examinations. Meanwhile, Basic Education Minister Sivua Kwahube says the alleged cyber leak of the 2024 matric results will not compromise the integrity of the National Senior Certificate, and former head of intelligence Dr. Neil Barnard has died at the age of 75. He died in Gansbaai in the Western Cape this morning after a long battle with cancer. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
The rand is trading at 19 rand 18 cents to the US dollar, 23 rand 27 to the pound sterling, and 19 rand 61 to the euro. The euro currently trading at $1.02, and the dollar's at 157 yen 52. In Brazil, one US dollar is trading at 6 real 10. In Russia, 102 rubles 85. India at 86 rupees 47, and in China, one US dollar is changing hands at 7 yuan 33. Markets in Asia, they were lower at closing bell. Hong Kong's Hang Seng gave up 0.7%. Mainland China's Shanghai Index dropped 0.3%. India's market trading flat, and Japan's Nikkei was closed due to a public holiday. The JSE is in mixed territory at midday. The All Share Index has fallen 1% and is at 82,645. The Industrials 25 Index 1.5% lower. Financials have declined by 1.4%. Top 10 Resources Index 0.6% to the good, while the Precious Metals and Mining Index is 0.5% firmer. On the capital market, the yield on the R186 government bond is at 8.45%, whilst the yield on the R2030 is at 9.36%. Markets in Europe weak at this hour. Britain's FTSE 100 down 0.3%. The CAC 40 in France is down 0.6%, and Germany's DAX has dropped 0.6% as well. And looking at commodity prices, gold trading at $2,686 per fine ounce. Platinum's at $958 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $81.66 a barrel.
This is SAFM Sport with John Gericka.
I'd much rather talk about the price of Brent crude oil over $80.
What I'm going to talk about today.
Yeah.
I got both of them today. Both of them.
Knock yourself out.
Proteas coach Rob Walters announced a 15-man squad for the ICC Champions Trophy in Pakistan starting on the 19th of February. Temba Bavuma will lead the full-strength squad, including 10 players who competed in the 23 World Cup. Tony De Zorzi, Ryan Rickleton and Tristan Stubbs, along with all-rounder Vian Mulder, have been selected for their first senior 50-over ICC tournament. Enric Nokia, who missed out on the World Cup due to injury, makes his return. Is joined by fellow Sima Lungi Ngidi, who's also returned to action following a groin injury.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremostly, we've got 10 of the players that were at the 2023 World Cup. We've got 9 players with 40-plus caps for South Africa in 50-over cricket. A nice core group of players to take forward that have experienced World Cups together. They've experienced success in World Cups together. And then obviously the conditions that we're expecting to face in Pakistan have ultimately sort of decided the balance of the squad.
All right, let's go to the Australian Open. Coco Gauff beat Sophia Kenin 6-3, 6-3. And Yannick Sinner, the world number 1, beat Nicholas Jarry 7-6, 7-6, 6-1.
I think today was a very close one because the first sets they can go both ways, and in the third set when I broke him the first time, then gave me a little bit of room to breathe. But he's an incredible player, a huge potential. So I'm happy how I handled a very tough situation in the first couple of sets, and happy to be in the next round.
Novak Djokovic is on court against Nishen Basavareddy. The last time I saw was 1 set apiece, Djoko leading in the third. Carlos Alcaraz has just beaten Alexander Shevchenko 6-1, 7-5, 6-1. Later, Naomi Osaka takes on Caroline Garcia. It's going to be a late start for her. There's 2 more matches. Well, there's another match before her, and it's already after 9 o'clock in Melbourne. 2-time Grand Slam runner-up Stefanos Tsitsipas was the big upset of the Australian Open. The 11th seed crashed out 7-5, 6-3, 2-6, 6-4 to American Alex Mickelson in the first round.
I also felt like didn't have enough power in my shot today, so I ended up playing a bit more and having to kind of work 2 or 3 times more every single point to try and win it. So I just hope I'm able to retrieve that back and use that as a strength that I have within my game.
And world number 2, Iga Swiatek battled past Katerina Siniakova 6-3, 6-4. Kaizer Chiefs assistant coach Khalil Ben Youssef has suggested that the match referee Olani Quinda appeared to favour Golden Arrows during their clash at the Moses Mabhida Stadium yesterday. Soweto